Welcome back to Inside Story. While Nicolas Sarkozy was campaigning for the presidency earlier this year, he unrolled a vision for France at a Paris youth rally. And he picked out the youth of the French suburbs, the banlieues as we've called them, for special mention.
My vision is a France that dreams of employment, of schools, integration and social improvement. It's nothing to do with the minority who burn cars, attack people and who are out to clash with the police.
Well, later, Sarkozy unveiled a scheme for urban renewal. He termed it a Marshall Plan for the suburbs. Marshall Plan referring to a US project to rebuild post-war Europe. The lives of 250,000 youths in 750 of France's most deprived suburbs are the focus for Sarkozy's Marshall Plan. It's aimed at easing unemployment, improving education and addressing the suburbs' housing crisis. To do this, Sarkozy's pledged more than $17 billion over 5 years. He will officially launch the policy in January 2008. Still with us are our guest in the French capital, Ismail Savane, a filmmaker and musician who uses the issues of the suburbs as a basis for his work. And on the phone line, Geraldine Igu, she is a Sarkozy youth supporter. Thanks for staying with us for the second half. Let's go to the phone and Geraldine Igu. How can the people, in your opinion, of the suburbs believe President Sarkozy? Yes, it's great that he wants to put $17 billion into that, but he's been clearly, as we discussed before the break, quite hostile in the past. How can they believe what he says?
Well, first of all, I don't think he's been hostile. I mean, he's been hostile to those who have been causing trouble, but, I mean, this is only a very small minority. The rest of the suburbs just want to live in peace and be able to go to work every morning and not have to have their car burned down.
I guess the unfortunate thing, though, there is that when even a minority is called that, the majority uses it for themselves. They feel sympathy towards that person, and there's almost a group and mob mentality there.
Well, I'm not sure they feel sympathy for the person who's been, burning their school or library or car. I think that they feel, they're all sharing something. They all live there, and they all feel the problem, and they know that, they have to get through the situation. But at the same time, I think that the majority of the population, or those that live in the suburbs, don't want this to go on anymore. They're tired of it because this is their neighborhood. This is them being awake at night because they can't get to sleep because of the riots going on. So I think that they want it to stop more badly than anyone else.
Ismail Savane over in Paris, what do you think of the Marshall Plan? Is it the answer?
I don't think Marshall Plan is the answer. Of course, most of people in the suburb don't like riots. It's a really minority of that are doing that. We're okay with that. But Marshall Plans is just to me the politic of striking harder is not the solution. If they punch harder on this, they put more cops, more hostility, it ain't gonna bring no good stuff on it. Of course, you gotta punish the criminals. We're okay on that. This is a republic. We cannot let everybody, do some bad things. We're okay on that. But the government got to put this message that they understood the problem, because even if the parents of those people who do that, they not agree about the looting and the burning, but they still understand the hunger. They still know why them young people do that, even if they don't really understand. And the stuff is like, of course, you gotta maintain order. Maintain order is one thing, but understanding the problems and thinking in the roots make the problem disappear for the future. But just Marshall Plan and more cops, all this, it's gonna look like like a war or something. It's strange, I don't think it's really the good solution,
So
I really don't think so.
When you talk about the future like that and addressing the roots for the future, it sounds to me like you almost think this current generation is lost, that there's actually no hope for them. Is that a fair comment?
To me, yes. Our generation and the one after us is finished. It's not lost, but it's going to be hard for them to feel like part of this society, to feel like French, because they've been parked away. Their school is different school. It's really bad. I used to work in junior high school in those area. It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. You don't know how your kids. Nobody want their kids to be in those kind of school. Nobody wants your kids to be in those kind of neighborhood where it's not clean. Everything it's abandoned. They feel aside of the society. You know, if we don't mix people together, they never be able to feel like one nation. You know, integration is one thing, but we just got to feel this one nation stuff, that we together, that we got the same chance. Till people are not convinced of that, till they're sure that they don't get the same chance, that there's no equality, there's always going to be problems. So I think we got to fix this problem. It's going to take time. Even if I'm not a Sarkozy militant or fan, you know, I ain't going to blame him for not doing much, because it takes time to solve this problem, you know. It's going to really take time, but it needs the will to do it deeply, not in surfaces, not just in surface, just to get the next election or whatever, you know.
Okay, let's go back to Geraldine Igu on the phone there. The Marshall Plan, there's been talk of such a plan, a Marshall Plan, since some would say the early 1990s. Why has it taken so long to get here in the first place, and for us to see so many more rights in between?
Well, first of all, it's unpopular, and I think that's why it's taken so long. I don't even know if it'll even happen. This is not something that people actually want to see in their neighborhood. So, you know, I mean, presidents don't really care in the long term, you know. They only care about their next election, which is now only 5 years. So I don't exactly know what Sarkozy will do in 2008, if he'll really do this or not. What I do know is that we need to find a solution. I think that there should be some kind of mediation with the groups in the suburbs, with the youth, try to find out what they really want and how we can all work this out. I don't know if the Marshall Plan will help anything. I doubt it will.
What did you mean at the start of that answer when you said it's not something people want to see in their neighbourhoods? What do you mean by that?
It's almost Big Brother-like. It's scary. It's unpopular. And, I mean, you know, most people in the suburbs are just not comfortable with living in some kind of Marshall Plan. It's not something that's popular with the people. So I don't know if it's realistic and if it's doable. I have no idea what can be done right now to solve this problem, because this has been going on for so long. I mean, what's happening right now is the result of 30 years of anger and resentment towards the French population. So I think it's going to take a really long time before we can find a proper solution.
I want to go back quickly to Ismail Sisavane, because when you said Big Brother there, Ismail, you started nodding there. You agree that it's too much of a Big Brother society if this were to happen.
Yes, I agree. I agree with I don't know her name, I'm sorry, because I can hear good. But I agree with her, because people are going to feel like there's an occupation army on their soil. And they ain't going to feel considered. If there's problem in a good neighborhood around Champs-Élysées or whatever, they're going to put Marshall Plan there and control everyone? No, they ain't going to do that. And that's what people from the suburb knows. So if they're in the neighborhood, they don't feel free, they feel like occupied, basically. It's going to be felt like a occupation army, you know. That's why Marshall Plan is not going to be, it's not good. And she's right. All this happened now because governments before never did nothing. It just now the problem gets so, the pot is boiling so hot now that they got to do something, you know. But it's going to take time. But Marshall Plans and all this just going to make things worse, I think.
Okay, so we seem to be in agreement, at least between the two of you, that the Marshall Plan probably won't work. Geraldine Igu, what do you think might work? Give me some of your ideas as what might combat this.
I think, I mean, I may be a bit of an idealist, but I think that education is the only thing that might work. And I want to stress something. I don't think it's normal that a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old boy is out rioting at 4 in the morning. My question is, where are the parents? So I think that it all comes down to education. If the children are brought up correctly, if they go to schools that are efficient, I don't think we'll be seeing that kind of a problem, because they'll know they'll have a good future and they'll have no reason to riot in the first place.
You raise a very good point there, saying where are the parents, as I guess father figures and mother figures, people for the children to look up to. I'd also like to, on that note, bring in the idea of policing. There used to be community policing in the banlieues, something which Nicolas Sarkozy scrapped. Would that be a good idea, Geraldine, going back to community policing?
I think that It might be a good idea, possibly. I don't know. I think you'd have to keep the regular police there, but community policing might be a good idea as well. Maybe those person could have a better communication with the people in the neighborhood, better trust. It might help, but I don't know if that's necessarily the solution. It might be part of the solution, but I don't think that'll do it on its own.
Ismail Savani, final word to you just briefly before we run out of time. What's the answer? If the Marshall Plan's not the answer, what is it?
Education first, good schools, good teachers, because in their schools it's the beginners of the teachers that teach there. Good education. Yes, police of proximity. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know the name. But it's good because then people got to know that the state's police is not just the enemy or just there to hit them or to arrest them. It's just part of it got to be part of their life. More communication, mixing people, and education. Don't let the poor people together in their own trouble, in their own scum, to talk bad. And then we can solve stuff and make people mix together.
And it looks like we've lost our link to Paris there, unfortunately, but that does bring us to the end of this edition of Inside Story. My thanks to Ismail Savani, who was there in Paris, also Geraldine Igu, who was on the line from the UMP Supporters Party. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside Story. As always, we welcome your comments, your suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. I'm Kamal Santamaria here in Doha. Thanks for watching. Do stay with us on Al Jazeera.